Information Technology 9626. Topic 1.1, High Mark Exam Strategy.
Picture this. You are sitting in the exam hall, and you write down the exact, flawless, textbook definitions of direct and indirect data. You think you've nailed it, right? Wrong. This one tiny, incredibly painful mistake is literally costing students massive points. It's giving a completely generic answer that completely ignores the provided scenario. Context is absolutely everything.
Look, if you just list memorized facts without any analytical depth, you risk getting absolutely 0 marks. That is a massive threat to your grade boundary. Cambridge doesn't reward superficial breadth, they demand application. Writing everything you've ever learned about indirect data without actually applying it to the specific business case study sitting right there on the paper, well, it'll leave your score at rock bottom, no matter how much you studied.
Section 1. Top Examiner Insights Revealed. This quote right here, straight from the Cambridge Principal Examiner reports, brilliantly illustrates what top-performing students actually do. They exhibit connected, conceptual understanding. The examiners are literally handing us the secret. They want logical, structured reasoning that proves you can take what you know and transfer it to unfamiliar contexts. Basically, they don't want a dictionary. They want an analyst.
Now, what's really crucial here is that these 3 specific traps are the exact reasons why otherwise really smart students lose points on direct and indirect data. First, using the wrong approach for the context. Second, rushing and just forgetting to check the required format and presentation. And third, the ultimate sin we just talked about, answers that are not specific to the given context. If you can simply avoid these 3 pitfalls, you're already way ahead of the curve.
So how do we systematically secure those points? Well, the first quick win to implement is the method mark strategy. This is where you extract relevant data and execute it with clear notation so you are actually rewarded for your process. Even if your final calculation or recommendation is a bit off, showing your systematic processing steps secures crucial marks. The examiners want to see your analytical journey, not just the destination.
In a moment, I'll show you the examiner clue that changes the direct data evaluation completely. But first, you need the framework that makes that clue obvious. Because honestly, without the right structure, even the biggest hints in the exam paper will just fly right over your head.
Section 2, the High Mark Answer Frameworks. Okay, so problem solving builds logically, right? It starts from identifying information all the way to making a justified recommendation. The deconstruct, solve, evaluate sequence is your absolute baseline. You deconstruct by extracting the relevant data. You solve by logically processing it, and critically, you evaluate by checking for reasonableness. Like, ask yourself, does this answer actually make sense for the scenario? You do that before delivering your final justified recommendation. To make absolutely sure your answers aren't generic, use the Peel-J framework. It helps you question assumptions, consider different perspectives, and justify decisions with evidence. You make your point, you back it up with evidence, you offer an explanation of what it means, you link it directly to the scenario, and finally, judgment. That J is a real game changer. It's where higher-order evaluative thinking happens, and it's where the highest mark bands live for sure.
Section 3, Flawed versus Improved Answer.
Notice how the flawed answer on the left just lists facts. It might say, indirect data is collected by a third party and might be outdated. True, but 0 marks for context. Conversely, the top band answer on the right actually interprets relationships and draws evidence-based conclusions. It says something like, because this indirect data is 5 years old, it lacks reliability for this specific startup's current rapid market launch. See the difference? That is Peel-J in action.
Now, when you escalate to actually comparing direct and indirect data, you must rigorously apply these 4 comparative analysis steps. You can't just list pros on one side and cons on the other. Nope. You have to identify similarities and differences side by side. You absolutely must use comparative connectives like whereas, conversely, or on the other hand. You need to support each comparison with evidence and then draw conclusions about their relative importance to the specific business in the question.
Section 4, Interactive Spot the Error Challenge.
Okay, I want you to pause this explainer right now. Read the scenario we're showing, write your own checkpoint answer, and try to spot the fatal error in reasoning. Ask yourself, is the student using the Peel-J framework? Did they use those comparative connectives? Did they actually link it back to the business? Seriously, go ahead, pause, and predict.
So looking at this examiner-style correction, we see exactly where the student lost points. They failed to use comparative connectives, and they completely omitted the context link. They got 1 mark for basic knowledge, just identifying the data source. But look at those zeros. Ouch. Because they didn't structurally compare the data and they gave a generic, unlinked answer, they just threw away easy marks. This is exactly what the principal examiner reports are warning us against.
Before we wrap up this methodology, here is a super quick memory hack for your revision. Create a personalized acronym for the factors affecting direct and indirect data to literally lock it into your brain. I'm talking about things like relevance, age, accuracy, and bias. Craft an acronym that makes total sense to you so you can instantly recall these factors under the intense pressure of the exam clock.
Section 5. The hidden mark band cause. You have the high mark framework, but what if you misinterpret the command words? Well, all this framework application will land you in the wrong mark band entirely. Think about it. You've mastered the deconstruct, solve, evaluate model. You know exactly how to link to context, but what if the question asks you to evaluate and you merely describe? Actually, scratch that. Even with perfect context, a descriptive answer to an evaluative question severely cops your maximum possible score. It's a diagnostic cliffhanger that catches thousands of students completely off guard.
To solve this diagnostic cliffhanger, subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE, to excel in your Cambridge examinations and catch our next explainer on command words. Knowing the difference between analyze and evaluate is the absolutely mandatory next step to unlocking those top mark bands. Seriously, don't let your perfect knowledge go to waste on a misunderstood command word. Ask yourself, will you let one single misunderstood verb rob you of your top grade? Click through to our next explainer right now, and let's fix that. See you there.